Hey, welcome back everybody. This is Dave with Alum House. Today I want to show you a quick overview of the scene that I'm using on my X32 for my streaming endeavors. A quick overview of the scene that I'm using on my X32 for my streaming endeavors. So our church runs 16 channels into the console, and we wanted to have the flexibility to use all of the buses, all of the effects, and so we are temporarily using a full console, but we'll be living in a compact environment for the streaming going forward. But I want to talk to you about the signal flow and how I've got things grouped and set up. So let's dive right in. First off, we've got our drums here, followed by bass. We've got electric, two acoustic channels, but this is actually one acoustic guitar. We're just duplicating the signal. We've got some fun stuff going on there where one of them is straight signal, the other one is actually delayed by about 14 milliseconds. It creates a nice stereo effect. And then we run different EQs on each of them and compression to give it more of a two guitar sound. We've got pads, electric piano, and then we've got some blank channels here. One of these would be pastor, and then our two male and female vocalists here. So these are the straight signals coming into the console. They all get pretty standard compression and EQ. But what we've got on the right-hand side over here is our vocals have a bus that we're using for them. And then down here, we've got a stereo drum bus set up for drums and a stereo bus set up for band, and then our effects. So let's walk through real quick kind of how everything rolls. Our drums are pretty standard. You can see here, this is the kick drum selected. And so we have basic opportunities here, gate, followed by the compressor, followed by EQ, and then they will hit the drum bus. That's pretty standard for the drums. Let's take a look at the drum bus and what we're running here. The drum bus is then being compressed by this 1176 make, if you will, the Ultimo compressor that's built into this this console, but it's a mimic of the 1176 compressor. Sounds really good on drums. They then have the opportunity of being EQ'd, and then if anything gets past that, we've got a compressor there at the end to catch anything that goes over top of the 1176. Now, the band all runs through into our band compressor, our band bus, and then from there we've got a little bit of EQing and some compression going on for the band. They stay pretty locked in and tight with their initial settings over here, and so we don't have to do much at the bus. Let's talk about vocals. I'm going to come back up here to our vocal bus and talk about the male vocal from top to bottom. So the male vocal comes in, we are running a de-esser as an insert. And so we're using both the low and the high band on this de-esser, as you can do. We come back up here, it's going to hit the compressor that's on the channel strip. That compressor is a very fast attack, a very fast release, and a 3-to-1 compression ratio. And I'm taking out anywhere between 6 and 8 dB, but it's just the very beginning of the words. It really helps to even the vocal out for the stream before it goes any further. Then they get EQ happening there. Then they come over to the bus. All of our vocals run that same channel strip, and then they come to the bus here. The bus then gets EQ'd a little bit more as a group, a slight bit of compression. This is more of your standard compression there, more of a take 2 or 3 dB off, a really mild attack and mild release. And then they also hit a Fairchild compressor here at the end. It keeps a lot of warmth in the vocal, but still adds just enough clarity to keep them on the top of the mix. So that's a quick look at the inputs and how we're routing them through the buses, and then the buses go out to the main mix. Now we do have some DCAs here. These DCAs cover our vocal DCA, which is all of these DCAs affect the buses, not the main channels. So we've got vocal DCA, a drum DCA, and a band DCA. And then over here on the far side, we've got all of our effects. So let's take a look. I'm going to come down here so we can pull them up on the screen. The first one is our band reverb, standard vintage verb, sounds great, standard 2-second decay, and it sounds good. The next is a short verb, and this is for vocals. So I'm running the plate verb, and I'm using a 0.7 second decay, super fast. If we come over here to the effects returns, this is, you probably can't see because the camera's too far away. It is just off here. I'll hit the right side. You can see it's just off to the side of center for panning. It's not way hard right all the way over there and hard left. The idea behind the short verb is to pull the vocalist off the mic. They're very close mic'd. We want to add a little depth. And so we pull that vocalist off of the microphone using this reverb. So it's artificially done, but it helps create a little bit of depth. And we don't want it hard left and hard right panned because the vocal is in the middle. We want this a little closer to the vocalist. The next reverb we have is another vintage verb. This is a room verb, very similar to what we're using for the band. This one here is going to be panned hard left and hard right. It is specific to the vocals, and it gives us the ability to EQ things a little bit different than what we need for the band. We also have a delay here. This delay, I've usually used either the 3-tap delay, but I like this one. This is a delay in chamber, and this is something I do when I mix in the box. Gives me a delay, and then I add a reverb afterwards to soften that delay up a little bit. Just helps to fill the space in between vocal phrases and not get too aggressive as a whole other instrument might. So the benefit here of running these DCAs on the groups is that, let's take your vocal for example. If I need more raw vocal, I can bring this up. My effects don't change because these don't change, but I'm bringing the raw vocal up. If I want less vocal, let's say we get to a bridge or an open section in a song, I can drop this down some, remove some of the raw vocal, and more of this verb would be accentuated then in the mix. So that's a really nice tool to have at my disposal. Also, if I need more raw drums, I can do that, and band as well. And I can just kind of play a real basic mix here, but these faders obviously still impact everything that's going on over there. One last thing I want to show you is at the end of all of this, the main out for the stream is running through this precision limiter that's built in. Pretty standard tool to use. We're going to boost up our low stuff a little bit and just limit the top end. And it really keeps the mix nice and controlled so that when it's being compressed and then streamed through YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're headed, Vimeo and such, you've got a nice clean mix. You know what you're going to get because nothing's going to be peaking or jumping out past this limiter. So that is a look at the stream mix that we're using on the X32 right now. Again, we are using as much of this console as possible, mixing very much like we would in a box, in a DAW, but it's got faders and it's movable and we can recall everything. So hope this has been helpful. Hey, if you've got questions or comments, I'd love to hear them in the comments section below, or any tips and tricks that you've found for your mixing into a stream. Share that with me down in the comments. Other people would love to read about it, and we can share knowledge all throughout this great land and this interwebs that we're all living in. So hope to see you guys in the next video. That's it for now. See ya.